He's in, but he's muted. Can you hear us? And can you turn your mic and camera on? There you go.
What's up?
Hello,
Hi guys.
how's it going?
I'm Jacob.
Hi.
Nice to meet you guys. Am I visible, audible, all the formalities of this
Yeah, you're
open
perfect.
setup that I've forgotten?
Absolutely perfect.
Okay.
Appreciate you joining us. We're finally here. We made it.
Yeah. Before anything, is this visually okay? Like, I don't know if I've set it up decently. Got my lights.
It's very pleasing aesthetically. Yeah, I like the purple light.
Yeah, done. Okay, fantastic. And is swearing allowed? Is it permissible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything under the sun's fine.
Yeah, because I'll be honest, lads, I'm a bit like mildly high, like a little bit. I have to be honest. I'm just telling you.
Kind of big.
Because yes, yeah. Yesterday there was a festival called Holi. Okay, that's where people like put like colors on each other on the streets.
Saw that. You.
So, yeah. So it's essentially like, I don't know why they do it, but it's just a way of like it's a celebration, and there's this thing that you take. It's like, I think it would cost you less than €1 to get it. It's like this little edible. So the celebrations have been going on for like, it's bleeding on to today. And I think the latter half of the afternoon was spent sort of celebrating that unnecessarily, which is, I think the effects are still not worn off that much.
Hold on, so you don't know what you took, but you took something.
No. I know what I took. I know.
Oh, okay.
I know. I just didn't expect it to last as long as this. Yeah, that's all.
Well, yes, that's, you got your money's worth.
What was the festival?
Yeah, it's called Holi.
Oh, right. Okay.
Like, yeah, like holy, but with an I instead of a Y. So it's not, so holy is it? Yeah. Right. Okay. So guys, tell me about yourself a little bit. Like, what are we, is this how we start? Tell me something, like, give me some.
This is how we can start, if you like. You can start with a question. Yeah, you go first though, Jacob. I'm interested in what you'd say.
So we've been doing this podcast for almost a year now, and we like to explore loads of different people who walks of life. I myself, I'm a podcaster, an aspiring entrepreneur, and that's about it. Joel.
Well, yeah, we're both at uni. You didn't mention that part, but yeah, I study psychology. Jacob studies business. I am a wheelchair basketball player. We're both from England. And I make
Whereabouts in England?
Devon, so down in the southwest.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I make YouTube videos about psychology, philosophy, and personal development, and how all those things interact. And we come on here and we chat about life.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, let me just close the window right here. That's making sounds. All right. Okay. Hello. Yes.
So you're like a philosopher, right?
That's a very, I think, ambitious title to have.
Yeah.
I would not say philosopher is the word I'd choose. But of course, yeah, this is, I think, the main vehicle by which the world, like how I can explore the world that I'm interested in looking at, is through philosophy. But it's more like, okay, look, these are things that I see. I mean, I need to tell someone about it. It's less philosophy, more interested in the reality that we feel, but we cannot see. It's intangible, like, like a private limited company. It's an intangible idea, but still nonetheless exists. Therefore, it's valid, it's real. And I think all of that was started by Peterson, Dr. Jordan Peterson, the introduction of that idea classically. So I could ontologically see that, okay, this thing exists. And I've always seen these intangible realities interact with the world more than numbers and facts. So I would say maybe that's philosophy. But I think philosophy is a lot more, how would I put it? You do a lot more technical analysis of things. You worry too much about what the idea is rather than what it does. So yeah, that's the thing.
What's an example of some of those like intangible things that you're quite interested in?
First of all, I think in these intangible things, are so present in our lives. An example, if you've asked me an example of things I'm interested in, these kind of things. For example, the in-between. Among two people, any two people, there is something in between them. There's a relationship that cannot be mimicked across anyone else. That's fundamentally unique between you and this person. This is what couples talk about, do they not? Like, oh, we have this relationship. What are they exactly describing? Is it me? Is it you? But no, that it's the in-between. Like, that's a real thing. Like, okay, there is a space that we have created between me and you. That space is so real, like it becomes visual in a way. So that's one thing I'm very interested in, the in-betweens of people, the in-betweens of you and me, of me and a company. Branding, I love, I'm currently working at a travel firm, but I'm working as their content/marketing area. But I'm doing their branding more so than anything else, which is where the intangible works, you know. So these are the intangibles that I've been quite interested in, both in business and psychology, conveniently, you know, for you both, who are interested in the same things. You can see that the same reality exists between both worlds, psychology and business. Branding, LLP, laws, all these are just fictional concepts that we believe are true, and we behave in such a way. So yeah, those are the things I'm interested in. God, more or less, to a slightly lesser degree. But those three things: branding, the in-betweens of people, and maybe God. Yeah.
So when you say what's that in between two people in a relationship, you don't mean anything like spatially or physically. Do you mean the fact that they've decided that they're going to be in a relationship with one another, but nothing has actually really changed in the physical world, and yet everyone like treats them differently? So what is that thing that's changed? Is that sort of, that's what I got from that. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make sure I follow.
Yeah. If no one recognizes any in between, then it does not exist. I mean, in a way, what you're saying is that, right? If it's not recognized, it does not exist. Is that what you meant?
Well, I don't know. Do you think that's true? If something isn't recognized, it doesn't exist?
Oh, definitely not true. I mean, I wouldn't say this is a bit of an. I don't think this is an argument more so. I think this is just either you know it's there or you don't know it's not there. So sometimes couples, I'll just talk about couples, for example. They won't have anything in between them. They're just following the roles of being a boyfriend and a girlfriend. And, you know, you're my husband, I'm your wife, etc., etc. But there's nothing fundamentally there in between them. There is no real relationship between them. So people may recognize it, and you may act like, okay, this is what we are, but it really, an in-between is something very privileged affair that you can have, where you know that there is a space that you both share, or there is something over there, like this intangible thing in between us. We have no organs, we have nothing to really demonstrate it, and we do acts of things, you know, we make the effort or whatever that is. But all we're trying to do is using the wrong instruments to describe something that we cannot even point out. As the word for it. Yeah.
It's like there's a sort of an unspoken contract that we all act as if it exists, but you actually wouldn't be able to measure it, you know, talking sort of in scientific terms. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah. What would you think of that, Joel, in terms of business? How much impact of intangibles do you see the business suffers with? I'll just give you a scaffolding to like maybe help us discuss this. In my company, for example, they have assumed growth. Like they've assumed that they want to grow. So all they've done is increase the price of certain things, increase the number of products that they sell. But like when I look at it, I look at that as that's not growth. Just releasing another variant of an iPhone does not give you real growth in some sense. Growth is like what we have, whatever we have, we'll make it better, and that's how we grow. Like, okay, I'm just giving you that as I'm putting that on the table. Let's see where that goes.
Well, like, doesn't business rely on everybody believing in things that aren't actually real? Like that money is worth anything, or that like Peugeot means a car business, but it's just a word and a noise and a symbol, or anything like that. You know, like money's just a bit of paper, but everyone's agreed that it's worth £10. But like, where's that come from? If someone decides it's worth more, they're just a minority, but their belief is similar in a way. They just don't believe what everyone else believes. So yeah, The world is run by things that don't exist. This is true. But like, when you get that to a normal person, they just think you're crazy. Go on, Jake. What did you say?
It's all perceived value.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's actually, I read a book. Have you read Sapiens?
Yeah, I have.
So yeah, he talks massively in that about how a big reason why our culture is where it is because we all started believing in things that aren't real. Yeah, you can talk about God in that, but you can also talk about like the idea of McDonald's. Like, that's an idea that doesn't really exist. There are a lot of restaurants that have the same like appearance and they cook the same things, but McDonald's as an idea doesn't really exist physically. And the example he used in the book was Peugeot, the car company. Like, Peugeot doesn't really exist. There's people that make cars that you buy with symbols on them, but the actual like title of the company is arbitrary. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah, look at that. We're filled with a world full of intangibles. And I would go so far as to claim that all we sell are intangibles. Even through products, like a phone, clearly you're selling me, no, you're not just selling me a phone. You're selling me the fact that I can feel a bit of significance through what I buy. Like if I buy, nothing, for example, that nothing phone, people will look at me differently. I'm selling something that's beyond the product. And I think let's just talk about business, for example. If you're focusing solely on the fact that you're selling a product, you're not getting that far. Nobody cares about this very physical object. What they really want is that the intangible surplus benefit. This is where psychology and business has a bridge. So, okay, let's just look at that. What else? What are the intangibles that we're selling, like in general, or consuming in modern life?
Could you not argue that every human interaction is just an exchange of experiences? Whether that's saying, hi, how are you? Or whether that's saying, do you want to buy these apples off me for €3? Like, you're giving someone else an experience. Same way when you have a conversation or get into a relationship or there's buying and selling and trading on any scale. Like, you're just like Bugatti selling someone a car. You're still selling them the experience of driving the car. Just in the same way that if you sell someone a cherry pie, they're going to eat the cherry pie and be happy. Like we're all just playing a tennis game of experiences,
I like how you're entering this frame, which is what I've been so irritated about. Like fuck, this is the world we're actually living in, where we're exchanging. I mean, people label it differently. I think people say, like you said, experience. One would say like a more hippie variant of a human being would be like, it's exchanging energies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like we don't have the words. We don't even have the words to specify this little thing. I want to point out something a little bit. Let's just see if I don't want to introduce religion, but I would just do it nonetheless, like a little bit here. The Christian idea of man does not live by bread alone, but also the word. Like, don't you think that's kind of correlated with this in a way? Like, okay, just not the bread, but there is that word, which is that intangible thing. Again, word is intangible.
You're able to explain that a little bit. So now, what does the bread there symbolize?
When I was in Sunday school, they used to tell us, like they used to give us this passage, which is like, okay, man does not live by bread alone. My dad's like a very, very Catholic sort of Christian, kind of enforcing that kind of, But like, he used to have that posted on his wall, and they used to teach us that in Sunday school as well. It was like, man does not live by bread alone, but also to the word of God. When you think of that, it's just like, when you think of that as a rationalist, as a realist in a way, that does not make any sense. Bread is what we live by. We do need food. We need these comforts, this chair, this laptop. But where do we really live? Like, where are we actually existing? I mean, we're existing in a physical world, but like if you analyze and just pay attention to the way your consciousness, where you live in your consciousness, it seems to me that we're living in this intangible world, in this so-called world that we cannot even describe with words. And do you see? I hate that. I feel like I'm sounding like I'm not making enough sense to the analytical mind.
So you're saying like we live in the world that is formed by our brain?
Narrative. Sorry, we live in a world filled with narratives. you're living this life, Jacob and Joel, and I'm living this life, and we have certain narratives about it. We go around doing these physical things like brushing our teeth, taking a shit, whatever it is. But really where we live is in these narratives. Is it not? Like, you have a context, you have a plot in your life right now, the entrepreneurship thing that you're doing, or things that you're interested in. These are narratives. We can describe them with words, but where we live, when we really look at it, it seems to me that we're living in these world of story and world of drama and narrative and, again, intangibles. We're just having some words to describe.
Could you argue that the physical world that a objectives or rationalist perspective would identify, that's like the canvas or the stage, but what we live is the drama, or we live the painting, right? So you need that canvas there to start creating, but the painting isn't the canvas. The painting is the narrative that is put over that canvas, and that's what life is. Life, like Nietzsche said, life's a work of art.
Wow, yeah, that's a wonderful put. Okay, okay, let's try to explore this. By the way, everything here that we are having this conversation is freshly articulated. I've not thought about this. Like, this is just happening. This is a conversation, I believe.
Yeah,
more than
the
conversation view. So I'm gonna put it on the table for you guys. Let's just see where we go. What else is like this? What else is an example of things or narratives that we are living in that's so real, but no one acknowledges it at all? Like, the realist mind would not acknowledge that at all. They would focus on like the product, the thing, the number, the physical, whatever, apparition of the very same thing. But what are the other things that we live in? Love is one of them, sure. Company is one of them. What else? Is there anything else?
Status.
Okay, like?
While you were speaking, I was thinking of like the future and these ideas, these goals we have and where we think we're moving towards, but none of it's real at all. But like, you base a lot of your actions and decisions based on something that isn't real.
Oh my God, yeah, that just made me really sad for some reason. I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Yes. Where do we go from there, though? Like, what is the productive use of this idea? Okay, great. Now we're all like, I think all three of us are like seeing the same kind of world.
I think it doesn't let you not worry about all the bullshit. Like, and just focus on your own narrative. Like, who gives a shit about other people's little bubble of things that aren't real? All that matters are my things that aren't real, like my peace of mind and my joy and my future and the relationships I have with people. Like, it just, once you realize you don't need anything worldly, really, and that actually what you want is the opportunity to just be alive and pursue things and make things better for yourself and other people. Like, you've got everything you can ever want. Like, you don't want things, you want to be able to try and get things, but the thing isn't what it's about at all. Like, your life's a story, and once you realize that, and once you realize you're the hero, or you should try and be the hero, then it changes the whole context of everything. So I think that's the productive thing out of it, is you realize that, life's not about things.
This is the fundamental Buddhist and Hindu narrative on us. Actually, there's a word in India. It's called Maya. Maya is an illusion. An illusion, the word illusion from Latin, I think illusere, comes from like the thing, like playing or something like that. It is to play, it is to act, it is to pretend like it's real. Like, and the whole Buddhist idea is that these things, whatever this life that you're living right now, basically he's not saying that this physical reality is not an illusion. That is here, I can touch it, I can feel that pain. But the context in which we're living in our brains, in our minds, the narrative in which we're living in, that is all a Maya. That's like an illusion, like in a way, only because you're there, that story is there. If you weren't there, that story wouldn't have been there. It wouldn't have been relevant anywhere. Like, okay, I feel like we're going way too abstract with this. This is too much for this podcast.
Why? Who said? Who said that?
Okay. Let's just say we go forward with this. Okay, let's just say we do go forward with this idea. that everything is merely an illusion. Everything, you exist in context to everything, or everything exists in context to what you think it is. I don't know. I feel like that's a, if you really, really like think about it, really acknowledge that idea and really ingest it and digest it and make it a part of you. How can you participate in this world that we are living in right now, where we have to be successful? There is an idea of success that we have to achieve.
Well, hold on.
What do we do then?
Where did the word have come from there? Do we have to be successful? Do we really though? And also, what's the alternative? Die? Like, you've been put here, you may as well have a good time with it. You didn't choose to be here at all. You've just been given this. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I was in some metaphysical realm and I decided to go to Earth and now everything doesn't matter and that's disappointing. Like, I just have been struck with a weird opportunity to be alive and I'm making the best of that. And if that's all it is and I die in 75 years, ideal. I had a good time. Met some people. Like, yeah.
If everything's an illusion, what you're saying is that's real.
No. I feel like illusion would be the wrong word to use. So, because illusion has connotations with it. So does myth. These words have connotations with them in the sense that they might not be productive or they're bad. Oh my God, you are having illusions about her or your life. Oh shit, I shouldn't have illusions. I must adapt myself to reality. False. Sorry, that's not an option. It's only through fantasy we access reality in a way. Like, when I say illusion, I do not mean in the sense that there's an alternative that, oh, I must exist in a world that is devoid of any illusion. It's just an awareness that these things that I care so much about, like, oh, how much, I can care about them. I think there is permission in this world to care. Like I think Joel pointed out, I'm struck with the opportunity to live. May as well make the most of it. Get whatever I want.
If you heard
like at the end.
have you heard the bit where Alan Watts talks about life being a dance?
Yeah, of course. A fundamental influence of my life.
And if life is a dance, you've got two choices. You can worry about how you're looking while you're dancing and thinking about sort of what's the purpose of this? Why are we dancing? Surely we should be doing something more productive, or you can just let go and enjoy the music. And that's sort of my approach is like, yeah, like none of this really matters existentially if we look at that objective perspective, but like just enjoy the music and make something good. Like try and make things better for yourself and others. Like you can't go wrong with that.
I love that because that's actually maybe the productive use of this idea in the sense that, yeah, I will care about it. I'll care about it a lot. But at the end of the day, in the middle of the night, the cheeky little joke comes in between where it's okay. It's not really, I don't really care about it that much. It's such an exciting way to live life. Care about it so much, but at the very end, know that I actually don't care so much. I'm not going to, disappear into this caring. Like there is this playful nature of how you can exist. And I feel like this is the productive use of this idea. You know that there's no leverage that anyone can have over you because fundamentally, like, yeah,
you're free. You're free mentally, and then you're free everywhere.
Wow. This is how many minutes are we in this conversation? Can you even tell me? Like,
don't worry about it, mate. Time isn't even real anyway. Just be here. Just dance with me.
Right. 27 minutes, and I think we got a good classical, like, nice little gem of an idea.
Glad you're pleased about it.
Let's move on.
I like how this is our podcast, and my guy's coming on like he's basically driving the conversation. I like this, man. This is great.
No, because here's the thing. I'm not like, you see, I don't take this illusion of a podcast seriously. I know, oh my God. Do you understand? Like, oh, I know I have to put my earphones, send this link, be professional, ask good questions. I know what it's like to be on your side. I know, okay, what he may be thinking. I know what I have to do. But okay, I get the context. Let's move on beyond it. Like, okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? This is
I just love it because we've never had a guest come on and go, right, it's been 27 minutes. That was good. Let's keep going. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, this is the productive use of this idea. Like, okay, I take it so seriously. I get it. I get what you're doing. I get what I'm doing. Let's not pretend otherwise. Let's play around with it. Let's flip the format here and there. Yeah, that's kind of thing. Okay, now we'll go back to pretending it's a podcast, whatever. You can tell. Bring the conversation, Sonny. Yeah.
This is great. This is great.
Thanks, boys. We're laughing at metaphysical matters. Beautiful. Yeah. Tell me.
Oh, I was not expecting this. I love it. I love it, man. I love you already. Anyway, so Jason, you've got talk about that with like being close and far away thing, because I saw that on your Instagram and I found it interesting. But Jacob, you go.
Oh yeah. Can you explain a bit more about like that reel that you had? That was like the people that are closest to you are really the most far away.
Yes. All of this started with the family, I think. All of this started in a way where I was at home. I was looking at my parents. I was looking at my sister. I was like, my God, like, I've always seen them as father, mother, and sister. Like, I have no clue who they are, and they have no clue who I am. I think particularly in Indian families, I don't know how it's like. I think it's a bit more, the reputation, I suppose, it's a bit more permissible in families in the West, but it's a much more repressive culture in the Indian societies where you have to maintain this illusion of a family. Like, I cannot be Dion. I have to be son. I have to behave in a way that a son behaves. And my father has to behave in a way the father has to behave. I think this is not an Indian thing. I think this is an overall, gentle thing. Yeah. Basically, that made me realize that, like, even these close people who have seen me grow up, I've seen them all my life. I have no clue who they are. And that made me think so much in the sense that the closer you, and I'm an escapist, I'm an escape artist. Any relationship that I have, like all these relationships that I have in my current world, I have a few very strategically placed people across the world. One of them is in Sri Lanka, one of them is in Belgium, one of them is in New Zealand. These people have no context to my life. They don't know what's happening. They don't know the details. They don't know what I'm doing. But we will share each other's secrets. Oh, you tell me where are you hurting right now? I'll tell you where I'm hurting right now. We don't care about this quotidian reality of, oh, did you go to the office? Did you study? Did you eat today? What are you watching? What did he say? None of that. It's the real thing. That, having that dualism where I have this current world of friends and relationships, but I have these very far-fetched escape routes where I go for vacation. Like, I go to these people like vacation. Like, oh, I'm going to another world now where I can just be myself and I can tell you with no consequence, because they can't have any consequence in my life, right? Even if I tell them the worst shit ever, what are they going to do? There's no real impact that they're going to have. So I think it came from that. So basically, that was the context by which this idea came around. The closest people are the furthest away is emblematic of us role-playing, always in life role-playing. You're a waiter, I'm a customer. You're a manager, I'm an employee, And when you break that, which is what the closest people are the furthest away. When you break away from that reality, you understand, my God, everyone is a stranger. We all can break these roles that we're playing. This is just for a custom that we're doing it. Like, that's what it was. I looked at my dad once. No joke. I looked at him. I was like, Dad, listen. And he's like, yes, Sam, tell me. I was like, Dad, are you ever sad sometimes? And he looked at me like, I've never thought about that. Like, no one's ever asked him that question. You know what I'm saying? This is how this is the tragedy of this idea, that nobody knows anyone other than the roles that they're playing. Like, my whole message in all those reels, any reel that you see, is go beyond the role. Yeah, that is the explanation of that. It's because of proximity. It's because of the fact that we have convinced ourselves that I'm Dion and you're Joel and you're Jacob, and we play out these characters, which is what's stopping us from seeing each other really. Like, my other a sub footnote to this idea is that I don't think anyone ever meets. I think they meet after 7 years, 8 years, when they're suddenly indifferent to the person. That's when they realize, oh my God, this is who we are. Like I never realized. Yeah.
No,
Why did you find that fascinating? Like, can you tell me more?
No,
Like, do you
I
think
didn't.
that's an
I didn't understand it kind of because I kind of I understood and I understood like the family bit because when I look at that for myself, it's like I've been put in the role of son, and yet I'm not close with I'm not that close to my family. It's like there's loads of filters in the way with us because, and I think that's because I didn't choose that. Um, and but then I was confused because that would mean my relationship with Joel if we were like really close together, like that would mean we'd still be further.
I don't think we're cousins, but we're not. Like we're best friends and brothers before we're cousins. The cousin bit is just like a nice byproduct, the fact that we share some genes. But the reality is, if we weren't friends, we would never have seen each other again after that gap. We didn't see each other. Theon, to give you the context, so Jacob is my cousin on my dad's side, and I stopped seeing my dad when I was 14. So I basically stopped seeing Jacob because I never went to like that side of the family, like events and stuff. Then 3 years after that or something like that, Jacob messaged me. We met up. We realized that we'd both grown up over those few years. We're really similar, and then we've been like really good friends for the past 2-3 years. But that's why I'm saying, like, I don't see you as family. You're my mate.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are family in a way.
Yeah, you've moved beyond that context. You see, this is the thing. You've moved beyond the context of, oh, you're my cousin. You don't see each other as that.
I want to ask, like, well, what's the solution to this? Because the last things that you were like, we've all got all these filters. We don't even know each other, and it's really hard. Like, what can we all do to remove all these kind of personas and roles?
Several things. I've done it here too in this very conversation that we're having, where in part we understand that there is this, like, you can imagine like a graph or something, maybe visually, because I see these things visually more so. This straight line here is where we are existing in this, okay, podcast, whatever. There is a self beneath where now when you end this podcast, you will go and, like, sit on your phone or something, like exist in, like, a normal way, just undisturbed in some sense. To acknowledge the fact that we are playing that role. And also, okay, underneath, I understand that we are playing this role. You get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Here I am, okay, I'm giving you this, like, we are having this conversation. Under that exists another Dion where, okay, like, you would just be like, okay, hi, yeah, guys, let's just, I don't know, let's just all like chill in coffee or like play Valor or something. You know what I'm saying? To exist simultaneously in multiple narratives is the solution. It's to sometimes break away. Can I tell you some stories? Can I entertain you guys with some stories where I've used this? Nearly, I'm asking you permission.
Yeah.
All right. Let me set. Okay. Story time.
Back.
Yeah, Purple's back. Story time. I was in uni, and Indian professors are quite characteristically idiosyncratic. They are one-dimensional. They have completely convinced themselves that they are playing the role of professor. Like, they don't see us as students. You can tell by the way they look at you that they're not looking at you as Kanna D'Souza. They're looking at you as 2011008, your registration number. They look at you as cattle. Okay. And my whole trick is break that. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was in the elevator with him. He was standing right next to me. And he looked at me and I looked at him. I was like, yeah, hi, hello, hi, yeah, hi, sir, whatever. And then we were going towards class and we were like pacing the same amount. And this man, I kid you not, just like paces up immediately, gets into the class, closes the door on my face and tells me, students should enter the class before the professor. I was like, okay, fine then, fine. Let me play a trick up on your sleeve. Class ended. He came out. I kid you not, I went up to him. I was like, hello, sir. Put my hand up. And I was like, I was interested in art when I was 6. I have 2 sisters. My dad likes climbing trees when he was young. I told him like the most random information. Can you like imagine this setting, this scenario, like played out in your brain? Your professor and you go up to him, no context. You're like, oh, I liked art when I was 6, and my mom got me an origami book. I have 2 sisters, and we come from Mangalore. I, you know that broke him. Like that broke. Like he never acknowledged what I just said. His eyes were like disillusioned suddenly. Like I forced being a human down his throat. And I told him this with such nonchalance. I was like, yeah, right, these things happen. Yeah. And then I just quickly moved on to like, why did you do that? Why did you close the door? I mean, that was a bit unnecessary. Like, I was just there with you. And he was like, no, pa, listen, I'm sorry, but yeah, it's just a matter of principle for me. And he became human to me. He became human. And I became human to him. Like, you see the comedy in the fact that you can go through all your relationships in life, playing around, like let them give you a role.
Well,
you play outside the role for a bit and then convince yourself back.
I've got so many ideas about this that I had to get a pen and paper and write them down before I forgot them. So basically, I think that genuinely, I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking, lads. I was like, shit, I need to write this down because my guy's going to tell a story and I want to talk about this. So basically, right, I think that psychologically, you've got you, who you actually are, right? And you exist within a labyrinth of filters that you have to put on, like masks that you have to put on and you go out into the world with. It was kind of like how Carl Jung had this idea that the self is within many, many, many layers of persona, that you go out and you act like this way in the world, but you have to get through all of those personas. You have to act out in different ways to then figure out who that person is within the labyrinth, right? And I think that people don't even know they're inside a maze in their own mind. They think they know who they are. They think they are who they are, right? But they're not. They're just going around to dead ends and corners, and they don't know what the hell's going on, right? So that's that thing where when you look at your family or your dad or whatever, he was just a persona. He was father and you were son. But who the guy in the maze was for either of you, you just didn't know who the hell that was, right? And I think people recognize it, maybe even unconsciously, when you are no longer have a filter on, right? So for me, the people I get on with the best with are the ones where I think there's no filter going on, or there's few filters when we're having a conversation. But sometimes it catches people off guard who don't expect it when I come along and I ask them deep questions. I've had it at university, moving here with course mates that I've met and flatmates that I've met. I sit them down and go, are you happy in life? And like, what do you think you're here to do? And why do you think you have this experience? And don't you realize you're a bit different from everyone else? And that's why you experience things they do. And people will tell me the craziest things. And they're like, Joel, you're a psychiatrist. And I'm like, no, I just know we're in a maze. And I'm asking you which turns you're taking. And what I'm saying is basically I think I agree with you 100% with that we should try and break down these barriers. But some people, number one, don't even know they're in that maze. And number two, it's painful because you have to reevaluate who the hell you are or who the hell you think you are. But the other thing I was going to say, which have you read 48 Laws of Power?
Yeah, I have.
So isn't this the same as remaining formless, as being willing to not put on any kind of mask in a situation and just be this free-flowing individual, like a particle of water that's sliding around reality and interacting with all the different things and exchanging energy and just making of that what comes, right? So that's the end of my rant, and I'm enjoying this conversation. Let's move on.
Yeah, 48 Laws of Power. That's Bruce Lee's contribution to that little part of that book. Is it not like, be formless, my friend, be like water. Become, I don't know how he says it. Sorry, that's my Bruce Lee impression. That was pretty bad.
That's beautiful.
And so I include that in your perception of myself. Yeah. But like, okay, what would y'all do now? Now that y'all like kind of have this idea very present in your brain, who would you sort of like touch and poke around? Like, hey, you exist. Like, I exist, you exist. Who would you do that? Like, I'm just saying, I've done that with cops, by the way. I'm just saying, I've done that with cops. I've done that with like.
Well, you went to him, you exist, we exist, and then smiled.
What?
You went to him and you said, you exist and I exist, and then smiled.
No. You can't say things like that. They'll think you're crazy. You have to be it. You have to like, you have no idea. A cop came up to me and he was like, fining me for smoking a cigarette on the street, which is like not allowed. For them, it's just like making some quick buck so they can have breakfast, of corruption. I was like, the usual reaction is, oh, I'm sorry, officer, like, I'll give you the fine, whatever. I was like, I'm talking to the man inside you. Like, you're a police officer, I get that. But like, I'm talking to the man inside you. Do you think that I can afford my breakfast? I'm a student. Do you think I can afford my breakfast tomorrow if you take away that much money? Yeah, but I don't care. I don't care. He says this all in an Indian language, so I can't translate well. And I just tell him like, yeah, like, I just play around. That's the thing. Who would you play around with? Who would you play around with exactly in this way? You can't tell people, hey, listen, you're living in a matrix. They'll think you're stupid. But like, yeah.
Well, I think it depends. Like I know, and I know Jake agrees with this. I hate small talk. I really hate small talk. So I think it's all about how you introduce yourself to someone. So one of my openers, rather than going like, hi, how are you? Hi, how's your day going? All that bollocks. I'll say, tell me a life story, but just the good bits and get rid of the boring bits. And then they can do anything with that question whatsoever. If they want to give me like a fact file of like, this is my name, this is what I do for a living, this is how old I am, then they can do that. But if they want to tell me that they're actually in a marriage that they hate and they despise their children, they can do that too. Do you know what I mean? Like, just tell me your life story and you can interpret that how you want. Like, just giving people the floor to do that. Because when you ask someone a question like, how are you? All you want them to say is fine. I don't actually give a shit about how you are when I ask you how you are. I'm human one and I'm just validating human two's existence, right? But by asking a question like, what's your life story? They're not expecting that as well. So something like that, something that sort of just immediately like spears through the filters that they can't then just put out some computerized response.
Oh my God, yeah, people do give computerized response. They're like living in this such deep illusions. I can't answer the question, how are you? If someone asks me, how are you? I'll actually reply, like, I'm that kind of idiot. Like, they just want to move on and ask me when you're coming to when you're coming home or whatever. And they'd ask me, oh, yeah, hi, Dion, how are you? And I'd actually tell them, yeah, pretty tragic, actually. I took like, I would give them an extensive and unrelated and unwarranted detail just to mess with this question, how are you? I hate it. I hate when someone asks me, how are you? Do you know how you are? No, nobody knows. I don't know how I am. I'll tell, and this is my standard answer to how are you? I'm tragic. Thank you very much. That's my standard response. Yeah. If somebody asks me how are you, I'll be like, tragic actually. Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah, that's my basic response. Then you can be like God. That's giving people permission to be human. Do you not realize that? Like, that's the biggest conversation hack ever. Like, you're giving people permission to stop goddamn being robotic.
Oh, so it's like the kind of summary of this is just to get straight to the point, just go straight through and remove all the filters as soon as possible, because talking to humans on the human level is so much better.
I mean, Jacob, I think you're good at that. I think you're really good at that. That's one of your things. When you'll be telling me a story about your day or whatever, and you'll say what you said to your flatmate, and it will just like make me laugh. Like when they said like, give me some honest criticism, and you said, what makes you different from the people upstairs? Because how do you respond to that question? Like, you've just cut her deep. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I don't like the way you do your hair on Tuesdays. It was like, you are just an individual in a world full of other individuals that are exactly like you. And like when that girl that you were with a couple of months ago messaged you like, do you miss me? And you said, not really. Like, that's not that. How does she respond to that? You don't do the usual.
Oh no, stop following the script.
Yeah, that's it. She respected the honesty.
Yeah.
Like, I just still want to be better at it. No, like, I want to be able to go to the coffee shop and then ask for like 50% off my coffee. And when she says, what's the reason? Why should I do that? I just say, like, only that's like a good place to be on. Yeah.
What's that coffee thing? Did you say it again?
So go to the coffee shop, and when I order, ask for like a percentage off, like 50% off.
And then how did they react to that? No.
No, I haven't done that yet, but I want to. I've done it before, though. Actually, to be fair, I've done it before. I once before I've gone to the co-op, I've asked for milk, and I asked for like 50% off, and then the girl went and asked her manager. The manager was there stocking up the shelves, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't care," and I got 50% off. Like,
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. This is actually very useful. Think about it. If you can go through life like this, people will just like, pe- people will understand there's no such thing as policy. There's no such thing as like all of these things are really at the end of the day a little immaterial. This is connecting two parts of our conversation. One was that, okay, we are, let's take the illusion seriously, but also know that, it is in fact, just a context. And then second part is that whole role breaking thing. If we merge those two ideas together, this is what you get. You get freedom to behave, freedom to play around in life with anyone, even with like a co-op. I don't think co-ops give discounts, right? That's their whole thing. That's like an undiscountable organized store, but you still manage to get discount because you're being too human to them. They're like, okay, I guess I don't care.
I think it's law 28 of Foyer and laws of power as well. Enter boldness. Everyone admires the bold.
This book is being referenced twice. What should we talk about? Talk about the book.
The book is one of my favorite books I've read, and it takes a lot of, I think, truth that people don't want to say. That's why it's probably correct.
That's why it's banned.
What's a law? What's a law that you find like you want to use it, but you have not been able to? For me, it's never outshine the master. Yeah, I can't. I've never been able to do that properly.
I use absence to increase respect a lot. I use recreate yourself a lot. I want to build a cult-like following. That's what I'm trying to do with kind of this podcast. Not 27. I like a king to be treated like a king. I think I do fairly well.
That's a big one. That's a big one. That's the thing. Asking for a discount at co-op. That's like, yeah, I'm a king. I want this milk half price. To go, okay, fair enough, mate. There you go.
Well, one of many is to like strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. I'll do that to the other companies. I'll strike their CEO and all the sheep will scatter.
And okay, look. Now here we can delicately go about with the instruments that we have, which is basic. This idea of seeing the intangible or the metaphysical is just like glasses. You put it on, you can see a different reality. Now, wearing these glasses makes you aware of a world, a totally different world, where you see connections where people don't even see connections. Like the fact that you need to know who's the sheep and who's the CEO. Sometimes the CEO or the one who runs the company is merely a cog in the machine, more cog in the machine than the actual employees. Who's the real, who's the real sheep? I think wearing these metaphysical glasses allows you to see things, which is why, by the way, I've changed my name to Kanna recently. I've been not officially, but like, yeah. Seeing. So I want to introduce a conversation about seeing things where we can see how we can use this seeing in good ways. One of the things is you can see people through their roles. You can see who's the actual leader, who's not. What's another person feeling? You can go once you're not like fixated on the form and the roles. You can see the underlying reality of things, where true power comes from. The one who can see reality and acts upon it is where power, the utilization or the action-oriented part of power comes through. What do you think about that? What is that? Is that well put? I don't think it is.
I think it's like the Farouk quote that we spoke about that the other week, Joel. It's like it's not what you look at, it's what you see. But then like I guess that is probably how you do get a big advantage. Seeing things which other people don't is often correlated with success, I think. but how would you kind of realize that? How would you improve like what you see? Would you say?
I don't know. I don't know. I actually don't know how to bring about or how to even suggest to see.
Is it to build a third eye?
Yeah. By the way, this has connotations. The whole seeing thing has connotations with the third eye. Third eye is comes from Shiva. It's like one of the gods in Hinduism, where his third eye. That's the origin of the idea of third eye. But it's there in a lot more cultures. For example, the American dollar has the all-seeing eye. What's that? What's that book? 1984.
Yeah.
That's another book related to the all-seeing eye. Basically, I just think of it as like, okay, this is basically the idea of God in different avatars in some sense. The all-seeing eye is the same thing that, Christians or religious societies back in the day used to exist. Oh my God, God is seeing what I'm doing. He's seeing that I'm, making out with this, committing adultery or whatever it is, stealing. The all-seeing eye is always there. Yeah,
They're like kind of like a real thing as well. Then, like with the third eye, isn't there like some gland in the brain?
I knew.
So it's actually like kind of proved to be somewhat a real thing, which is quite interesting. Like it's kind of like a state that you can get to. I know a lot of people reach it through meditation, and then there's like they achieve a new way of viewing things, a new state to be on that's kind of higher than other people, and then they see supposedly in more layers, like around the world. They see that the world they can see in more layers. That makes sense.
That's actually an appropriate way to put it, Jacob. It's seeing through multiple layers of things.
Yeah.
It's not just one thing. Oh my God, there are so many layers to everything. Seeing those layers is where art is born. Seeing those layers is where music is born. Seeing those layers is where any new innovation is born. Where you see things that are connected that on the outside do not seem connected, like cigarettes and tea, for example. You never see them as related objects, or like bees and flowers. Never see them as connected objects. But then when you really look at the layers, that's where everything binds with each other. Me, you, me, this book, me, this table, me, chair, cloth, everything seems like it's just binded together. Again, that's a very esoteric idea, but like, yeah, this is the ultimate conclusion of that stuff.
And like with the kind of connotation to growing a third eye being meditation, that would suggest that's you knowing yourself a bit more, which would then like come back to Carl Jung's quote of those who look inside awakened. So I think it's probably a certain part of the knowledge of the self to then see, to then have the sight into more layers. I wonder if there's a correlation there.
I think you're articulating it right now, aren't you not? Like you're trying to put the words to this experience, like what we've just been speaking about. Yeah, it's a very. See, the thing is, usually this idea is not spoken about with anyone because it's rather vague, and it's ubiquitous. What's the word? Sorry, ubiquitous. Because it's all there. It's pervasive. That's why we cannot really talk about it. It's like makes no sense. But to harness it, that's when we can talk about it. Like I can talk about productive use of it, but realistically, I feel like it's always there. It's just this knowing, or this like knowing through many layers and all. We've just forgotten it, mate. I think that's what it is. I think everyone who's sort of born into this world having no perceptions. Imagine if you got me a chair and I never saw a chair. All we did was sit on the ground. Imagine I never saw a chair and you bring it to me and you tell me, sit on it. I'll be like, what is that? I have never seen it. I don't even know. Like, it's just a mere perception. I don't know. I find it very utilitarian to think this way because eventually I want to start a company with that it's like a media agency or a marketing firm whereby you go to a brand and you actually give them information on what they're really selling beneath all those things, beneath the product. What are they selling? How do I make that as a marketing content? How do I tell people or my customers that, hey, listen, this is our story, buy into it, whatever. This is like the entrepreneurial side of this idea. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's not.
Well, listen, boys, I need to go soon because I'm on a time constraint. But I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I like your vibe a lot, man. And I feel like we need to have you on again because there's a lot of undiscovered territory in the world of conversation that we need to have.
It is. Yeah, I think the closing. Yeah, it's almost like I can see a minute 12, so I think it's past your time. I'm glad that I'm having conversations across continents. I'd never realized that putting those reels out would, connect me to two lads in England. I mean, that's just the idea of that is so nice that there are people everywhere around the world that are like suddenly probably very much into these kind of conversations where you sort of explore business, you sort of explore, I think, a diet. I've seen a couple of your things, spirituality. So you guys are doing really well, approaching people from across the world. I mean, I'm in my room in India, Bangalore. It's really far away. It's no way that we both would be connected in usual terms. But hey, you guys are reaching to a lot of people. So that's a nice initiative that you guys are doing. I have to compliment you on that.
I appreciate you. Yeah, we've learned a lot from this conversation. I'm now gonna try and reach a human level. Like, that's non-negotiable. Once a day at least. I've got to try something new.
I love it.
Yeah. Look, take away from this, I think play around. Just play around. Be playful. This is where true playful comes from, where you don't take the fact that I'm Dion or I'm Joel, I'm Jacob too seriously. Like, yeah, I get it. This is just like an identity. I was born here. This is my story. But like beyond that, hello, hi, yeah, it's to play around. I think this is the main thing of this conversation. Wow, we've actually done a lot. Good job. I think good job.
Well, I'll contact you again. I'll contact you again soon to talk because I think there is a lot more to explore.
I feel like if we had more time, us three could speak for like 3 hours. Like, genuinely, I'm not even joking. And we don't feel that with every guest, so you should take that as a compliment.
Oh yeah, I would. I certainly would. It's a nice 12 a.m. I think I'm gonna continue my shenanigans and carry on. Yeah. What about you guys? What are you guys doing just before you leave? How old are you guys, by the way?
Yeah, 19.
I think you're still in it. Huh?
I was going to say guess, but you said
He might not have heard of it. Guess.
I've not heard you guys. I think you said you're going to uni, so I think like 20, 21 sort of.
Ish. We're both 19.
Nice. And you?
Yeah, 19.
Yeah.
Both of you are 19?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. My God. I think just I hate being born Indian because we genetically don't even look older, even though we are grow up. So yeah, I'm 21, guys. So I think we're all similar aged. Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Very nice.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, pleasure to meet you. Enjoy your show.
Yeah. Yes. I will. Thank you very much.
Cool. See you in a bit, man.
Boys.
What a legend. What an absolute legend.